On July 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of the then Austro-Hungarian Empire was assassinated in Sarajevo, triggering the First Weltkrieg. 100 years later, in 2014, the victorious Central Powers still stand strong. Despite losing their empire, the Ottomans have stabilized in Anatolia. Bulgaria and Danubia are still allies to the revived Donau-Adria Bund, and the German Kaiserreich has grown into the uncontested greatest superpower to ever exist. Yet, how did Germany go from starving in the First Weltkrieg to dominating the world 100 years later? For that, we need to explore the modern history of the German Empire. The First Weltkrieg was notoriously brutal. After 5 horrible years of trench warfare, famines, blockade, and military dictatorship, Germany finally triumphed over the Entente. The following Treaty of Versailles cemented Germany as the new master of Europe and Africa. Following the Russian February Revolution of 1917, and the French and British socialist revolutions of the 1920s, Germany was again surrounded by enemies. During the Second Weltkrieg, Germany would ally with Danubia and the Entente to destroy the Commune of France and keep Russia at bay in the east. After Germany used the atomic bomb Heimdallr on the British city of Portsmouth, the Union of Britain surrendered, ending the Second Weltkrieg. In the wake of the Second Weltkrieg, France was split into a southern half, where the Fourth French Republic returned, and a northern Kingdom of France, aligned to Germany. In Britain, the United Kingdom returned, but Canada made it very clear that London was not the head of the British Empire anymore. The Channel Islands were split from Britain and became a duchy allied with the Reichspact. This situation led to rapid deterioration of Canadian-German relations and to the beginning of the Kalterkrieg. Out east, Germany had managed to push Boris Savinkov's Russian state back, but Estonia, Livonia, eastern Belarus and eastern Ukraine remained under Russian occupation. During the early years of the Kalterkrieg, Germany worked overtime to destroy Russia's hold over Eastern Europe. During the Latvian War of Unification, the German-backed Duchy of Kurland managed to annex Livonia, thereby uniting Latvia. After the death of Boris Savinkov, Prussia fell into a civil war. The German-backed military government agreed to let Litvel and Ukraine retake their lands. Upon their victory, the military government of Nikolai Vatuchin began distancing itself from the Kalterkrieg, taking Russia out as an issue for the time being. In Asia, the authoritarian Beiyang government of China managed to reunite China with German aid, securing East Asia out of Entente hands. In Morocco, the Entente attempted to overthrow the German-backed monarchy, but were unsuccessful. In Middle Africa, Germany's colony in the center of the continent, Entente-backed separatists managed to destroy Middle Africa, only leaving Southwest Africa and Tanganyika to Germany. In South America, after the Sao Bravo Republic broke off from Argentina and Paraguay erupted into civil war, the Reichspact came to the aid of Argentina. After a little over 3 years, Brazil capitulated to Argentina, paving the way for Argentina to become a great power. A lot more conflicts happened during the Kalterkrieg, but the important information is that with the progression of the Kalterkrieg, Germany increasingly gained the upper hand, whilst Canada destabilized further and further. By 2004, Canada collapsed, leading to the governments of the European Entente powers to collapse with them, and Germany to become the sole superpower on Earth, with only Danubia coming close to the power Germany has. Germany managed to integrate South France, Navarre and Norway into Middle Europa and the Reichspakt. With their victory, Middle Europa is slowly being transformed from an economic alliance into a continental community, modeled after the German Empire herself. Member states are able to vote on European laws and agreements, but just like how Prussia is dominant within Germany, Germany dominates within Middle Europa. This status quo is becoming an increasing issue in Europe, as Germany needs to balance member equality with streamlining Middle Europa. Currently, Middle Europa is still just an alliance, but ideas to unite nations into one state are being made. Should Germany succeed, their superpower status could skyrocket past what it stands at already. Middle Europa's existence gives the illusion of a unified Europe, but this isn't the case. Whereas Germany's ideology is one of national capitalist conservatism, the now unified France is very progressive. Since the days of the First French Republic, France has been seen as the empire conquering Europe, seen as the evildoer and seen as the enemy. The tyranny of the Third Republic and the Commune of France only strengthened this view of France. After France was divided in 1947, North France slowly began embracing ideas of coexistence and picturing itself as a peaceful safe haven modeled after the Danubian Federation and their progressive ideology. This proved to be extremely popular with the French public and was a major difference from the oppressive, near-totalitarian policies of the Southern French Republic and her satellites. During the fall of the Accord, North French progressivism was a big factor that flipped the French people to the kingdom. The Southern French government was overwhelmed by the protests, and Andorra overthrew their puppet dictatorship, establishing the Andorran Republic. France's anti-war ideology contrasts with the traditionalist, conservative ideology most Middle European members have. This gives France an interesting choice. They could abandon Middle Europa for the Danubian Federation, who is more ideologically aligned with France than Germany is. Alternatively, with the rise of the internet and globalization, Middle Europa could swap to liberal progressivism. But returning to Germany, they exploded economically after the Cold War, with new markets and the world relying on them to protect freedom and sovereignty around the world. They disarmed terrorist cells in Madagascar, toppled the Gabonese dictatorship, intervened in the Malacca crisis, and are currently fighting alongside Republican forces in the Mexican Civil War. But by far the biggest and most well-known intervention was 2006 Operation Schwarzes Edelweiss, or the joint Reichspakt-Danubian Liechtensteiner invasion of Switzerland. Since before the Second Weltkrieg, Switzerland's national populist government had begun Germanizing their lands, leading to them being invaded by the Third International during the Second Weltkrieg. Victorious, the government suppressed minorities even harsher, in particular in Romandy and Upper Savoy. In 2006, the Reichspakt and the Donau-Adria-Bund decided that enough was enough and invaded Switzerland. Despite heavy guerrilla fighting slowing down the invasion, Switzerland was defeated. Upper Savoy was directly returned to France, and Romandy was split off into a French mandate. Germany annexed the canton of Schaffhausen and the region of Eglisau, as these were north of the Rhine River. Furthermore, Grisons was split from Switzerland to revive their Romansh identity. Yet the German regions of Grisons obviously couldn't join Grisons, as then the Romansh would be outnumbered in their own country. So some of the German regions were transferred to Liechtenstein. The rest of Switzerland was split into a German occupation zone and a Danubo-Liechtensteiner occupation zone. Switzerland is set to reunify in 2016, and the denationalization efforts have paved the way for that. But national populism is still very popular in Switzerland, leaving many skeptical of an independent Swiss state. Despite Germany's success to topple the Swiss government, Europe isn't free of national populism. Following the Kalterkrieg, the 2003 April coup in Britain overthrew Parliament and the monarchy, establishing a reactionary military junta across the island. The monarchy found refuge in the Iberian country of Asturias, but unlike their first exile, they did not retain any political power in Asturias. The reactionary government in Britain became increasingly authoritarian and totalitarian, with any government criticism being framed as neo-syndicalism. This led to many Brits migrating to the Channel Islands, until travel to the islands were banned by the UK. The United Kingdom to this day does not recognize the Duchy of the Channel Islands. Meanwhile, on the other side of Europe, Estonia also remains an enemy of Middle Europa. Although not as authoritarian as Britain, Estonia remained extremely Eurosceptic and worked a lot with Britain against Middle Europa. The German Empire commands the strongest geopolitical organization on Earth, the Congress of Nations. It commands the strongest army on Earth, the German Heer. It leads the strongest alliance on Earth, the Reichspakt, and is the undisputed master of the world. With the Americas setting themselves ablaze, Asia competing for a new hegemon, Oceania reinventing itself, and Africa falling apart, it is up to the German Kaiserreich and the Reichspakt to bring stability, order and peace to the world. This will conclude this episode of Einundzwanzig, Dusk of the German Century. Join us next time on the trip to Argentina, the great power of South America. Or if that video is already out, you can view it right now. But for now, this was the end of the video.